Welcome to a new section, everyone. In this section, we will be covering the XLOOKUP function. Now, just a quick reminder. The XLOOKUP function was introduced only last year, and it is available only on Microsoft 365, Microsoft 365 for Mac, and Excel for the web. As a matter of fact, it's even available for Excel for iPad. But do remember, it is not available for Excel 2013, 16, and 19. So in case you're working with any of those versions, you will not be able to use this function. And there is no backdoor entry to have this function on your workbooks. So it's very unfortunate, but that's Microsoft's approach. They want everybody, all their customers to migrate towards Microsoft 365. So if you don't have this function, don't worry about it. Just make sure to try and get your hands on Microsoft 365. All right, now we have IDs, customer name, sales. By now we have done VLOOKUP so many times that it should be almost second nature to us. If we do a VLOOKUP, we can search in the entire table array, search for column number 2, and the exact match gives us the customer ID. Now imagine this. Imagine you were searching for a customer name, or rather a customer ID like this, HH123. Now obviously this result is not there in your data set, so it results in an error. Also, if you were searching for, let me show it to you like this. So if you write a VLOOKUP, you notice that there is no error handler inside, which means that it doesn't give you the ability of showing an alternate result when an error comes. For that, you have to write an if error yourself. Additionally, if imagine you had TP at the bottom and I'm writing the same number, the same ID, customer name, and a different sales value. Now in VLOOKUP, you would only be able to identify the ID from the top. You would not be able to identify the second instance of the ID. Now these are problems that have been with VLOOKUP ever since the beginning, and these have been rectified in XLOOKUP. So we write equal to XLOOKUP. Now immediately you would notice that it has some similarities but also quite a lot of differences when you put it against VLOOKUP. So while we do have a lookup value, we don't have a table array. This time we have a lookup array and a return array. So a lookup array is the column in which you're searching for the lookup value, and the return array is like the column index number, which means the column from where you want the result to come. You also have an inbuilt if error. So it says if not found, what is the result that you want to see? Then the type has been changed to match mode, and then you also have search mode. So let's go through all of these. Let's do a simple example. If you want to search for AJ161, remember we will not be choosing the entire table. We will only choose the one column in which the ID is there, and then the return array would be the column in which the customer name is there. And if I close it right now, you notice we get the result. Obviously the last one will not come because HH123 is not a part of our data set. And that is exactly why you have something called if not found. So if I say value does not exist, you notice that very smartly, it is now telling me value does not exist. So it is essentially doing the same thing as an if error. The advantage is that I don't have to write an if error separately, which makes things much more complicated. I can write the alternate result for an error inside the XLOOKUP itself. But what are the other things then? So the match mode is very similar to a exact or an approximate match, but you notice this time we have several other options as well. Now there is something called the wildcard character match. So this I'll be showing to you in a little bit. But for now, let's focus on the last one, which is called search first to last or search last to first. So think of it this way. In VLOOKUP, it never asks you should it search from first to last or from last to first. It assumes that you want to search from first to last, which means that when I search for DP177, it will only tell me 902. It will never tell me the result is 123. So if I choose -1 as my last argument, and I keep DP177 and I keep my column number, so rather my return array as the sales column. Did you see what happened? It is telling me that DP177, the last value is 123. And very smartly, if you want to find out the first value of DP177, you can simply change it to 1 and it will tell you the first one. So this is something which is entirely in your control. So you can control how XLOOKUP is searching for the value, top down or bottom up. For the argument that I left out, which is the match mode, I'll have to do something a little different for you. So let us say we have Darren written here and we have Mick written here. Now I want the sales value. Now I'm sure all of you would agree that it would not work, right? So for example, if I say VLOOKUP and I search for customer name and sales and I search for column number 2, it does not return an answer for me because Darren is not Darren in our dataset, it is Darren Powers. Now we know that we only have Darren Powers coming one time. In fact, there is no other customer called Darren. Now, despite the fact that the first name is matching, we don't have an ability to tell Excel that it is the same thing. For this, we can use XLOOKUP. So we say search for Darren in column C. The result is in column D. I'm not putting an if not found right now, but I will choose my match mode as a wildcard character match. And if you notice, even now the error is coming. But if you go to F11 and you add, if you concatenate an asterisk, which is nothing but a wildcard character, you notice it is telling you 902. And again, Mick is 440. How cool is that? Let me just break it down into, let me just space it out a little bit so that it is clear for all of you. Okay, see what we have done. We have said that our lookup value is not Darren, it is Darren with a wildcard character, which is an asterisk. This means that I'm searching for any customer name which starts with Darren and has anything else after it. So we're not really sure what the surname is. We're not sure if the surname is an initial or maybe it has a middle name. But as long as the first name is a Darren, it will search it for us. Do remember, it will not work with things like misspellings. So if this was DAREN, it would not have worked. Right? So a quick recap of what all we have done. XLOOKUP only works with Microsoft 365. It is a replacement for VLOOKUP. You don't have table array and column number. Here you have lookup array and return array. You also have an inbuilt if error called if not found. You can choose the match mode, which is the wildcard character that I showed you. And finally, you also have a search mode, which allows you to define whether you want to search for the item from first to last or from last to first. So it's an absolutely fantastic function and it fixes a lot of issues that over the years VLOOKUP has given to us users. Remember, VLOOKUP has been around for some 25, 30 odd years, and it's remarkable to see that it took that long for Microsoft to come up with a replacement. But I'm very, very happy with the replacement that they come out with because as you will see in the forthcoming lectures, XLOOKUP is not just what I've shown to you right now, it is capable of doing much more. Now, unfortunately, if you don't have Microsoft 365, you will not be able to practice it. But nevertheless, I would still ask you all to watch the video a couple of times, get comfortable with it. And whenever you get your hands on a version of Microsoft 365, you can practice all of this.